Okay, so I'm working with Bestie from Bestie and Spinkies and his wife Lucy to set up a Strava route, a challenge. I'm gonna set out the route now, and then we're gonna see who of the three of us can set the best time combining walking and running. So I'm now going to go and set the route up, so you can come along with me if you like, because it's a good opportunity to get some video as well. So I'm down in Ventnor, but I need to get up the top, up onto Ventnor Downs, which is up over those flats. Everywhere's closed. Now I haven't got very long because the rain is due to arrive at 3 and it's about 12:30 now, so I've got 2.5 hours. Let's see if I can do it before the rains arrive. One of the issues with living in a car, as I do, is that you can't get stuff dry very easily, so I tend to try to avoid getting wet if I can avoid it. So let's see if we can get up there before the rains hit. Somebody's looking for insects. Got lots of chicks around at the moment, jackdaw chicks, and they like the insects to feed the chicks. So that's what this little guy is doing, looking for insects. Lower Gills Cliff Road remains closed, unfortunately. This job still needs to be done. Yeah, it's certainly getting bigger now, this crack. So we're going to start this Strava route from here and go that way towards Old Shootfield, I think. It's past the Graben. Not a sinkhole, I'm correctly corrected by a viewer. Just where the two sections of the undercliff are splitting apart. It's definitely getting bigger, that little split in the track here. We're going to go this way. There's a nice white throat singing just up here somewhere in this shrubby bank. There he goes. Actually, that was a blue tit. Definitely a white throat singing there. May have heard that in the previous clip. Just sang again just as I turned the video off. There he is. He's up there somewhere. So that's a common white throat. Carry on walking, so... Oh, there he goes. Just gone into the hawthorn over there. Back in the elder now, singing. There he is. Hopefully you can hear that. Am I going to be able to do this before the rain gets to us? Cows are still in this field. It's going to be a very sweaty and puffy walk, this one, because I'm trying to do it reasonably fast. So, yeah, a little Strava challenge, which I'm recording the route of now. Basically, we just want to get the quickest time. So, I'm going to be walking or jogging or a combination of the two. But I do love this kind of hill running on soft ground. I'm not a fan of running on roads, which is a shame, because Undercliff Drive through the Undercliff would be the perfect route really if I was into running on a hard surface, but I'm really not. I want to try and preserve my knees and ankles for old age. But this kind of climbing and sprints up steep slopes on very soft ground shouldn't do quite as much damage. I assume anyways. If anyone out there is a runner, either a hill runner or a road runner, tell me if my amateurish assumption that this will be less damaging on this soft sward is right or wrong. It's beginning to come into flower now, this chalk grassland. Trust me, in a month or so when I come up here to do some filming, it'll be lovely. There'll be all the little butterflies as well. They're just blown around at the moment. And it's just too cool today for much to be out. But come late May, June, July and August, it'll be lovely. There's Ventnor down below. So we're aiming for 3 kilometres. I've done nothing to measure how far this route that I have in my mind's eye actually is. I just know which route I'm going to take, and I'll find out at the end how far it is. God, I'm so unfit. I'm out of breath. I did come up St Albans steps quite fast, so God, it's breezy as well. So I'm just going to cross over here, go down. There's another little path just here that takes me up onto Littleton Down, all owned by the National Trust. Go over this stile. Now, I'm not going to set a good time on this route today. I'm just going to lay down the route because I'm admiring the cows, I'm bird watching and I'm filming, none of which are going to do much for my speediness. Oh, God, I'm out of breath. So we're on Littleton Down now, according to the Ordnance Survey map. The National Trust Yard is just down there. Like I say, all owned by the National Trust. This reddish stuff is the, is it sheep sorrel? Yeah, sheep sorrel, which likes open, disturbed ground. Grows in little sheets like it is here, it's in flower. It's a dock, I think, member of the dock family. And small copper butterflies, the adults lay their eggs on this stuff, on this reddish flower stuff. And don't even know if they're flowers actually. Might be bracts or something. Tell me in the comments section. But yeah, small copper butterfly adults lay their eggs on the leaves of sheep sorrel. So that's what the caterpillars eat. It's a good indication that we're off the chalk now. Onto chalk heath, or chalk acid grassland in this case. So in sharp contrast to where I've just been in Coombe Bottom, which is very calcareous, good for lime-loving, chalk-loving species of plants. Up here where you've got a gravel cap, it's much more acidic, and that's why you get heathers and lings and lots of gorse and this stuff, sheep sorrel. So you can see all the gravels. It's kind of a mix where it transitions between the gravel cap and the chalk, kind of interdigitate, so you get both chalk and acidic loving species together. The other thing you got up here is foxglove, which also likes the acid conditions rather than the chalk. Far more species grow on the chalk than up on this acid in terms of plants. So they're very specialised communities. There's quite a sharp contrast between at least some of the plants that grow between the two habitats. There are only metres dividing them, but in terms of numbers of species, there's a lot more in the chalk than up here on the acidic plateau. But they're both really important habitats. And that's why the National Trust owns this area, primarily because it's really important chalk grassland and chalk heath, and also because it's lovely recreational space, which is another one of the National Trust priorities. But yeah, I'm jabbering on a bit. We're in the Rue Valley now, or the top end of the Rue Valley. Upper Ventnor down there. So birds of prey, things like ospreys, seems to use this gap in the hillside between Rue Down over there and Littleton, Ventnor Downs here. There's a gap between the two, which is the Rue Valley. And they seem to see that when they're offshore, flying this way, migrating in across English Channel. They see the gap and they seem to fly low through it. So it seems to be a little migration pinch point, if you like, where the birds deliberately aim at it because they can see it offshore, and it's a bit of a kind of a I don't know, a point to aim for, a point to fly towards. Can't think of the term now. And so it's a good spot to sit just up here on these slopes if you want to see migrating birds of prey, or you know, migrating swallows, that kind of thing. Chiff chaff singing over there. Right, I'm going to stop recording long sections of video like this now because my battery's going to be run down very, very fast if I'm not careful, because I've got Strava also measuring where I'm walking, so I'll come back to you in a minute. Skylarks singing all around me at the moment. So I've just done a little post in my community tab on this channel asking what people would think about drone footage. So places like this, I think I could probably add to the quality of the videos by having some drone footage. The question is, what do people think if I use some of the buy me a coffee contributions and put that towards a pot, some savings to get a drone? I'd love it. I think it would be superb to add that into my videos. But do either comment in this video below, let me know if you'd like some overhead drone footage as well as this kind of walk and talk type footage, or do you think that would be distracting? Let me know. Right, we're just rounding the corner now. Gonna go down, so just scan across. There's rocks all down there in the valley, and over there is rue copse with the golf course, Ventnor golf course just the other side of it. We're just gonna drop down this way. Kind of looking northeast now, so generally to walk in an easterly direction. Drop down towards Wroxall Copse. This is Wroxall Manor Farm in this kind of amphitheatre, this bowl down here. Rather nice down there. It's completely organic, I think, so there's grassland there which kind of goes from chalk into more neutral soils. There's some sandy soils as well. His grasslands are gradually filling up with wildflowers because he hasn't put any fertiliser on, and obviously wildflowers don't like fertiliser, it's the last thing they want. So with any luck, in a few decades it's just going to be superb for wildlife down there. It's getting good quite rapidly, not that rapidly because you really have to help wildflowers to spread into swards. Once you have a closed grassy sward, it's very difficult for stuff to colonise it because the grasses just dominate. But you can see down there on the kind of the north side of Rue Copse, you can see the shrubs spreading out from the copse and colonising that grassy slope. So a lot of these fields were arable in the 1990s and the landowners reverted it back to grassland. And that particular field is full of wildflowers and the shrubby habitat is looking really, really good. If I was a cuckoo, I'd be hanging out in there. Even nightingale, maybe. Probably not, but you never know. Redback shrike, maybe. Eventually, if they ever recolonise. I haven't got time now, but I really must do a video in Wroxall Copse because it's a beautiful little bluebell wood. And obviously the bluebells are at their peak kind of nowish in May. You can see the bluebells are spreading up this slope from the copse. There's patches of them. Proper English native bluebells or European native bluebells. Hang on, no. Tell me in the comments section what the range of this English bluebell is. It's obviously not confined to England. Because there's Spanish bluebell as well, which is also a European species of bluebell. So presumably the Spanish bluebell is an Iberian type peninsula species, whereas this one is more northern oak woodland type species. But oh, there's a lesser whitethroat singing. Do tell me in the comments section if you know what the ranges are of those two different. Can you hear that rattling call? Lesser whitethroat. This habitat is just absolutely stunning now. This was arable as well before the National Trust acquired it and are managing it as rough grazing, shrubland type habitat. Absolutely superb for all manner of different species, not least lesser whitethroat, which is singing. Hopefully you can hear that. There it is. That is lesser whitethroat. Took the lavalier mic off just in case it picks it up better. Right, let's carry on. So it's now beginning to rain, so I don't want to hang around. I'm not wearing waterproofs, I'm just wearing socks and this little windproof type jacket, so I don't want to get drenched. So I've written a little booklet on this kind of habitat and how to create it and manage it, this kind of shrubland, grassland mosaic. Just absolutely rammed full of different species, probably one of our most important habitats. It's early successional, so you've got Roxall copse down there, which is a later successional type habitat, and then this open grassy shrubland mosaic is earlier successional habitat. They're both full of species, full of wildlife, but this more sunny open habitat is good for things like lesser whitethroats, cuckoos, nightingale. Not nightingale here, unfortunately. Got little hawthorns sprouting. Lovely bramble. Yeah, and species like red-backed shrike, which is obviously, we've essentially lost it as a breeding species in the UK. But if we created lots more habitat like this, and if they're doing well on the near continent, which they happen to be doing quite well over the last decade or so, they might kind of saturate the habitat on the near continent and start to recolonise. So that's why we ought to be creating lots and lots of lovely habitat like this, so that should the red-backed shrikes begin to do very well on the near continent, or continue to do well on the near continent relative to what was happening 2 decades ago, then they may find this habitat. They might spill over in spring looking for new habitat and find this kind of place and attempt to breed here. Red-backed shrikes love these thorny, shrubby mounds growing in grassland. They put the nest in a shrubby mound, a thorny shrub like a hawthorn, slightly taller, and then they forage on they sit on isolated strands of bramble or wild rose or a hawthorn clump. They sit there and they scan around, waiting for an insect to come into view on very short swards like this. Got bare ground and short grass, and just up here you've got tightly grazed lawns. That's what they love, because they can see the insects running between clumps of grass, or they love dung beetles. So dung beetles running between patches of dung, or they've just landed to lay their eggs on a bit of cattle dung. Red-backed shrikes whiz down from their vantage point and grab the insect, and then they'll sometimes impale them on a barb or a thorn on a wild rose, a field rose, or hawthorn or blackthorn, where they'll dismember the prey. So this really tight grazed sward here would be brilliant for a red-backed shrike to capture its prey on. They particularly like beetles and bumblebees. Quite often catch the bumblebees in mid-air on a still hot sunny day, whereas the beetles obviously capture on the ground. And red-backed shrikes also love to eat or to feed their chicks with Orthoptera, grasshoppers, bush crickets. So the sward here is going to be absolutely jammed full of grasshoppers later in the year. I mean, there are plenty around now. They're just tiny early instars, as they call them. So grasshoppers obviously shed their hard outer protective skin, whatever it is, carapace, whatever it is, as they get bigger. So the early instars, which are the early stages of adult-like grasshoppers, are very small and less profitable to eat. But come July, August time, those grasshoppers really come into their own, because they're a big sack of protein as far as red-backed shrikes are concerned. And cell buntings. Cell buntings feed their chicks on grasshoppers just as red-backed shrikes do. It's another species. Sellbuntings and yellowhammers love this habitat. This open shrubby grassland mosaic, as do a species I've just forgotten. Oh, linnets, that's it. They've got lots and lots of little colonies in the gorse up here. They like to nest in little groups. So they're not really territorial, they just find a bigger clump of gorse and have a few pairs all nesting in that clump of gorse. And they fledge and they take their chicks out into this grassland and feed. So linnets, unlike the other species I've already mentioned, God, yeah, one of my batteries gone flat yet. No, I can carry on yakking about birds. Linnets are obligate seed eaters. They only eat seeds and they feed their chicks on seeds of wild flowers, things like goosegrass and this stuff, which I can never remember what it's called, the yellow stuff. It's amazing. Tell me in the comments section. They're fluffy seeds, and the linnets will bring their fledged parties of baby linnets down onto this kind of sward and find seeds and things like that. Coltsfoot? No. Cox? No. Is it colts? No. Can't remember what it's called. To think I used to do habitat surveys. I used to do national vegetation classification surveys of chalk grassland. I can't even remember the most common lawn weed. Not a weed, obviously. You know what I mean, the white throats over there, calling away. What a lovely view. Looking north now towards the middle of the island with the Solent further along, further back. It's quite a small island when you come up here. Right, what I'm going to do now is cut up this way towards the western end of the radar station and drop down towards Coombe Bottom. I shouldn't really be walking over this longer grass because it's where all the skylarks and meadow pipits are nesting, so I'm going to try and find a path, but unfortunately I can't see one. So I do apologise to the skylarks. I'm treading very carefully, so I'm not going to tread on a nest. It's one of the reasons why the National Trust asks people to keep dogs on a lead, because dogs will eat chicks and eggs if they find them. We know that's true because they put little cameras on nests in places like the New Forest and Breckland, and to see what was predating the little ground nesting birds. And it was predictable things like carrion crows and magpies, but it was also dogs, domestic dogs, just running around on the heaths, come across a nest and just eat the chicks. That shouldn't be that surprising because, you know, go into a park with your Alsatian and there's a load of baby mallards, they'll scoff them quite happily. That's happened in Ventnor Park once. So it shouldn't really be surprising that what is effectively a domesticated wolf will eat opportunistically any food it comes across. So here's a pillbox. No wheat ears on there, it's probably getting a bit late now. As in they're already back on their breeding territories, well back on their breeding territories. It's mid-May. So, trying to get my route that I'm walking now to 3 kilometres. And we're on 1.5 miles so far. So, try and convert that in my head. Is that a couple of kilometres? I don't know. I think I might have underestimated how long this particular loop will actually be. Which is fine. Can always shorten it if it's too much. Feels about right to me. So just dropping down along the western fence line of the radar station with Coombe Bottom, my favourite bit of chalk grassland in the whole world, off to the right. Look at that. If you're a birder, oh, there's a great tip there. And another. Carrying food, the second one, so there's obviously got chicks somewhere. Yeah, if you're a birder, you'll know what I mean when I say it's like a Cornish valley on the south coast of England. Except our one gets loads and loads of migrants. Whereas your Cornish ones only get loads and loads of rarities, which we don't. Well, we kind of probably do, but nobody's looking, so look at that, beautiful. I'm amazed I haven't twisted my ankle or anything filming whilst I'm walking, because I'm not the most steady walker at the best of times. But we're doing it okay so far. Do subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so, and if you want to see more content. Currently on the Isle of Wight, so every summer I'll be on the Isle of Wight doing videos like this. Over our winter, over the northern temperate winter, I'm planning on being in Southeast Asia or the Andes, because I'm setting up a little charity, and once that's all up and running, which is nowhere near up and running yet, it will mean I'll need to avoid our winter, our temperate winter, and get down into the tropics, which is where the charity will operate with any luck. I've been saying I'm going to do this for decades and still haven't got around to doing it. So watch this space, people, but it does mean that I record in places like this, the Isle of Wight, during our temperate summers, and then when winter comes, kind of November, I'll be heading towards the equator, which will vary the video content quite a bit. So I want to go back to Cambodia, where I've lived twice. So I lived in Cambodia for 2 dry seasons, quite whether that qualifies as living, 2 4-month stints, probably not. I was working, I was doing collecting field data towards some PhD stuff, and helping out on some forest survey work in the eastern plains of Cambodia. So what I think I was saying before I went off on that little tangent is please subscribe to the channel if you want more content on kind of car living. So I live in a car, plus digital nomadism, how to set up multiple streams of income so you can basically live location independent, live where you want, which is what I'm attempting to do. Hasn't worked yet, but watch this space. Yeah, subscribe, and if you like the video, press the like button. We're not finishing yet, so don't switch off yet if you haven't already done so. Got at least another 10 minutes to go. And if you particularly like this video or any of the other videos, then you can make a small donation of appreciation, pressing the little thanks button, which is next to each video, and make a contribution. Several people have done that, which I really love, really appreciate that. Oh, it's getting a bit blowy up here now, looking south over St Boniface, down towards Bond Church down there, which we can't see. I'm going to walk down this way and go through Coombe Bottom, which hopefully a bit sheltered. There won't be much life down there because it's a bit too cool and overcast for that, but lovely views nonetheless. So if any luck, over the next day or two the new camera system will arrive. got a message today saying it's been delayed by DPD. Quite what that means I don't know. They just said there's a problem. Probably means they've lost the damn thing. Oh, what's that? It's a little stone chap there. Not happy with me. So yeah, when that does finally arrive, hopefully the gimbal bit of it will well, just mean I can shoot more panoramic shots and do more selfie shots without having to stop the recording and turn around the camera. I'm obviously using my iPhone mini at the moment to record this. Tell me what you think about image quality on the iPhone mini. Not a bad time to hear a golden oriole singing in this patch of sycamores. Probably as likely to see one flying between canopies, a flash of yellow or a flash of green if it's a female. Can hear a jay. They're vaguely similar call to Jay, one of their calls, so it's always worth focusing on what he's actually calling. That's lovely, isn't it? So yeah, if you would like to see more drone footage in places like this, then I will begin to direct the Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal donations towards that end so I can get a drone, and I think it will definitely enhance the videos. Up until now, everything's been on my iPhone mini 13, which I think is pretty amazing, to be honest. It's a great little device for this kind of thing, but it's very difficult to get anything up above me, which I really do want to do. Just coming down now into Coombe Bottom. There's a couple of buzzards up there. Bit of courtship flight. So I'm told this flatter bit at the bottom, which I said in an earlier video was presumably an arable field with a little farmhouse. Nope. Apparently there's a gun shooting range, wartime shooting range. I can't remember exactly what the era was. But marvellous, look at that. Yeah, fair enough. And this building was, this derelict remains of a building was associated with the firing range apparently. So I stand corrected on that. I have to look back in the comments to remind myself which era this was being used during. You can remind me if you like in the comments section to this video. Pheasants calling. Not going to be shot at down here, pheasants. So he's nice and safe. Chiff chaff singing. I think when some more hot weather does appear, it's going to be rainy for the next few days, but hopefully beyond that we will actually get some summer. When that does happen, this lot is going to burst into flower, I think. All the thyme and the harebells and marjoram, wild marjoram, squinancy wort, rock rose, it's all going to come into flower. And then the bluebells, sorry, not the bluebells, the blue butterflies, the Adonis blues and chalkhill blues would all emerge very quickly, I think. But you can just see how varied the sward is. Just superb. I think I need to do some more kind of macro type photography. Wow, look at this, there's some rock rose. Absolutely gorgeous. You can tell it's rock rose by the leaves and by the flower obviously, but not to be confused with you buttercups. Don't know if that's in focus, I can't tell with my my glasses are no good for reading or looking at the screen to make sure things are in focus. My eyes are terrible. Salad burnet here, that's what this stuff is. It's a paler seed head. Stopped flowering now, there's still plenty of it in flower. Oh, look at that, there's a gentian there. Is that in focus? Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. I don't think that's early gentian, I think it's too big. Is it spring gentian? Somebody tell me in the comments section. Early gentian is the endemic species that only occurs in a few sites in southern England and nowhere else globally, I gather. Again, if you know anything about early gentians, tell me in the comments section. But I gather there's only a few sites in southern England on the chalk, places like this, on the Isle of Wight and Brook Down, those kind of places, where you'll ever see it anywhere in the world. It's pretty cool. I'll put a link to one of my little booklets at the end where I mention or I write a little account on this chalk grassland, just in case you want to read a written overview of wildlife and bird watching in the undercliff. But lots of rock rose here, and that is looking stunning. Right, as I'm sure you've noticed, it's very breezy on this slope, so I'm not going to do too much more recording because I'll just irritate you probably. I won't know that until I get back to do the editing, but here are the goats just coming up. More rock rose. Here it is, coming into its own now. So as I've said in a previous video, these goats are in here because they munch off the woody vegetation. They graze as well, but their particular value in terms of conservation management is browsing, i.e. eating the woody stuff, especially the holm oak seedlings, because holm oaks is not native, it's a pain, it colonises everywhere, helped by the jays. And these little guys come along and munch off the seedlings, so keep it in check. So the last thing you need is holm oak in here, but there's tons of it. Because over time, if it's left, it will destroy what we already have now, be replaced by just holm oaks. There's Ventnor down there. There's the Rex building, or what was the Rex cinema. Salisbury Gardens mid-clip and Devonshire Terrace. And then just kind of roughly mid-clip now is Wheeler's Bay. Can't see it obviously. And Old Station Road mid-screen now, directly below us, where the railway used to be. Don't worry, little one, I'm only walking past. They have a very calm nature until they're rutting, then they're out to antler with each other. But yeah, they browse off the holm oaks and the bramble and other such stuff, and they also do a bit of grazing. But that just keeps this area open and species rich chalk grass, and not the sort of place you want to rewild. If you rewilded it, it would turn into a sycamore and holm oak woodland. Two non-native species. Well, people will argue about whether sycamore should be classified as native now. It's introduced by the Romans, was it, I think, from America, so it's not native. Now, native field maple is native, that's related closely to sycamore. Acer pseudoplatanus is sycamore, and Acer campestri, is that right, is field maple. Look that up, people. Google it, or if you already know it, provide a comment. So I think sycamore is Acer pseudoplatanus, and field maple is Acer. I've forgotten it now. It's been a long walk. Well, that hasn't been a long walk. It's just been a uncharacteristically long walk for me. Acer campestri, that's it. Acer pseudoplatanus, sycamore, Acer campestri, field maple, I think. There's a badger tunnel. Badgers over there somewhere. Oh, yeah, they've been doing some fresh digging. I assume it's badgers. That looks a bit small. No, it's rounded. I think that's badger. They're very, very common here. So we're obviously back on the beginning of the route now, coming down to Old Shoot Field. And then we'll drop back down onto the cut, Old Shoot, and then I'm going to go back down into the bay and get a coffee. So use some of the donations on buymeacoffee.com to buy me a coffee. So thank you very much for that. So what I would normally do now is go down to one of the little cafes on the Esplanade in Ventnor and do my video editing, put all this together. I've noticed that most people that watch my videos come online between about 6 PM and 8 PM. So, and obviously YouTube, as soon as you upload a video and make it public, YouTube notifies subscribers. So I want to try and get the videos kind of made public at around about the time that most people are actually on YouTube. Most people that watch my videos are on YouTube. So that just means people get the notification when they're actually there on YouTube in theory. But that's what I'll do. That's what I'll be doing when I get back. Edit this video together and then do some writing. So I've made some really good progress on writing the last week or so, which I'm really impressed by, or really pleased about, because what I tend to find is I get out of the habit of writing. So I was doing purely video content creation up until a few weeks ago, which is fine because it's building up the channel, and I love all the subscribers and all the interactions I'm getting, all the comments and critiques, which is really good. But it did mean I was drawn away from the writing, and I need to publish my next book as soon as possible, really, because otherwise this whole location independent thing is not going to work. YouTube ad revenue is currently, for me, about £3.50. It's gone down a little bit from about £4 about a week ago, and it's gone down because the viewer numbers have gone down, because I haven't uploaded quite as many videos and they've probably been boring, for which I apologise. I need to vary them a bit more. Yeah, so pleased to get back into writing. We're now in Old Shoot Field, obviously, coming back towards the Graben. So I hope you enjoyed that walk. Didn't Do subscribe, like I say, if you did. Press a little like button. Read the description to the video. And I'm going to let you all go off and do something important now. Hope you enjoyed this. And I will see you at the next video, which will be probably tomorrow if you want to come along. Well, it will definitely be tomorrow. I'm going to be continuing to upload videos daily. I'm going to try and make them a bit shorter. Although I do like these longer videos, but well, I'll probably do a mixture of the two. But anyway, thanks for watching, people. So I hope you're enjoying this video about Ventnor and the Undercliff. If so, then don't forget there are 2 books I've written. One, Bird Watching Around Ventnor, creatively named, and the second one is Wildlife Watching Around Ventnor. Just short books about the local area that are the subject of this video. Available on Amazon. I'll put a link below this video, and you can also order it from the library, and it's available in all major bookshops, both of these little booklets, and in a few shops along the Esplanade, like the Longshoremen's Museum and Lady Scarlett's Tea Room as well. But yeah, I'll put a link to the description if you want a slightly deeper dive into the Isle of Wight Undercliff. Then these 2 little booklets might be of interest to you. Just go onto Amazon otherwise and just search for Steve Jones and Ventnor and you should find them.